Yeah, I think we can just hop into the questions.
Let's do
So,
it.
Laura Pierce, and I don't know if Laura, you want to turn on the mic and add some more context, but over there in the Bay Area, electrical contractor, been around for 100 years or something.
Over
Long
90.
time, over 90. Yeah. She said, I'm experiencing that stagnant energy lately. Morale for the crew is low. We are all exhausted. Been so many challenges lately. How are you all dealing with fatigue and burnout? The morale is low. Everyone's exhausted. How are you all dealing with fatigue and burnout? Laura, do you have anything you want to add here? Do you want to hop on the mic or?
This is one of my clients, and I know last time we talked, Laura, you had a specific guy who was a grumble mumbler and nobody likes to work with him because he has a bad attitude and he complains to you all the time. I just want to make sure, is this an entire team thing, or do we have one person on the team who's kind of bringing down the energy for all?
Hi, good morning. So it's a combination, and yes, that one particular team member, who I will clarify, is absolutely worth his weight in gold as far as his installation and skill. He's the very best. He's so good, but the opposite side of that is he is a complainer, and I kind of view him as he grumbles about whatever it is in the moment. He gets it off his chest, and then he goes and does his job. But when he does it in front of the crew, you can kind of see everybody just get deflated. But as a whole, the entire team, my brother included, we've just been going hard 5-6 days a week, and everybody's just tired. And we've do we see the light at the end of the tunnel? Sure, we're making some money, but everybody's just tired. And I think I even find myself complaining to my brother over just ridiculous little everyday mundane stuff. I'm burnt out with doing it, and I know he absolutely is burnt out with the stuff that he needs to get done, and there's some procrastination happening, and it's just leaking out to the entire crew. We're getting it done, but I feel like there's a volcano getting ready to erupt, and I'm trying to get ahead of it and get myself grounded or centered or reset. So hopefully I can get my arms around my guys and get them excited and motivated. And money, certainly, we're making money, but the other side of it, and I don't want to sound woo-woo or whatever, but energetically, we just all kind of suck right now. And I'm sitting here in front of my shop looking at the front door going, I don't want to go in there today.
Yeah. I think a lot of people
same thing.
can relate to that. And Patrick, I know you want to address this. I want to come back to you that real quick, and I want to go to some guys that haven't been able to share today. So we'll start with Jason, and then Corey, and then we'll go to Miss Stacy Russell over there. No, I'm just kidding, Jordan. Sorry. Okay, Jason, what's up?
Yeah, I fought Nicole I didn't fight Nicole. Nicole was telling me what I needed to do. And it took so long, but we had the same guy, and he was the most knowledgeable in our company. But once I got to look at the numbers, he was the lead company, and he grumbled and complained, and it just brought everyone else down. And so I finally got rid of him, and the attitude of my company changed, I would say, almost overnight. People came in, they were talking, someone brought donuts. Everyone was in a good mood the next day, and even my estimator and my office manager, who were around him more than I was, just said, hey, that was a great move. Our company's totally different. So I had to get rid of the guy who knew the most about what he was doing out in the field, but it was like he was just cancer. And it took me a few weeks, but of Nicole telling me, you got to get rid of him, but I finally did it. And that was the move. Our company's been totally different. I'm more energetic. People are, so That's what I would say worked the best for us, was just letting him go.
Appreciate that feedback, Jason. Corey, did you have something on this?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with Jason. Toxic people, it's not worth the extra skills and abilities. I do think addressing them, though, if they've not been addressed specifically, just to see if there's a chance to turn around. Sometimes people that are really talented, people will enable by not addressing them over time. And then when somebody finally does, they'll turn a corner. I'm not saying that happens every time, but there are cases where that can happen.
Yep.
But I was just going to say too, like we're working 60, 70 hours a week. That's not sustainable long-term. So just as you're working in the business and on the business, some of the things we try to make a priority is how we get a light at the end of the tunnel is casting vision over the things that we're doing to alleviate that down the road. We understand there's going to be seasons where you turn and burn and you got to really press in, got certain projects going on, gathering the teams together, explaining what you're doing long-term, what the vision is, what the things you're working on to better the business so you can gain that capacity back and bring different resources on, can kind of help bring a team together and bring some camaraderie with an overall task at hand that they're driving towards together. So
That's great feedback, Corey. Yeah, casting the vision, setting expectations as a business owner is crucial. Telling people where you're going and how it facilitates their goals, as well as the business. Like aligning the goals of a personal individual with the goals of the business, it builds that loyalty as well. That's great. All right, Jordan, what do you got, sir?
One of the things that I'm needing to improve on, and kind of goes hand in hand with what Laura said, is often I'm running around like too many things on my mind, chicken with the head cut off, whatever saying you want to go with. And when I'm angry and pissed off, I like to complain. And I found that is contagious. And so like I'm really trying to do a better job. I mean, it's kind of pathetic, right? Like I'm talking shit about my guys to other crews, and then it's just like a vicious cycle, right? And I just think it's all under the surface, right? And then stuff starts to bubble up and you find out that all that shit's been getting around. And so it's like I had to go to the guys and tell them like, hey, I apologize if I've been, I'm just trying to move forward. And it kind of happened with one of the guys where there was some stuff out in the field, and like one of the leads was basically talking down on one of the apprentices about his old lead and stuff like that. And so I just tried to refocus my attitude, because I found that it was probably, the guys in the field had a bad attitude, but it was probably a lot of what I was feeding into that was the problem, right?
You're right.
And so I think I was the problem. I mean, I wanted to blame everybody else, but I was the one that was the problem. And then I like start looking over like last month, right? And I'm like, we just had our best month at a 32% margin. And it's like, I'm complaining about all this shit. I think that's a me problem more than a employee problem,
I think that's really good. Yeah, really good vulnerability. Appreciate you sharing that, Jordan, because I would say that most of us as business owners are in that position where, when we start our day, it's like a giant, like shit cannon is hitting us, right? We just are there to hear about all of the problems, and that can kind of get us in this negative headspaces. But you're right, super toxic to be, and toxic meaning that it's literally like an infectious disease that can kind of grow throughout your team. If you're the guy talking about, stuff to other team members, even complaints about the business to other team members, right? That's what we're here for, right? Talk to us about it. I think it's good to get that stuff out.
And a day where I'm pissed off, it takes a lot of energy to be angry. And a day where I'm pissed off all day, I mean, I'm wiped out, like ready for bed at 6 p.m., you know? And it does. I mean, it takes a lot of mental energy to be angry all day. And most of the stuff, it's not worth being angry over. I mean, I can be angry about a lot of stuff, but it's like when I'm angry and pissed off, I complain because I want to blame other people for where all my problems are, you know?
I think a really valuable piece of what you did practically as well was looking at last month's numbers to take yourself out of the feeling space and into the fact space of,
It's really,
well,
really good.
this is what we're actually doing. This is what is actually a result of these efforts. And really these guys are doing great, you know, and I can reframe that. I think that was really, really key for sure. But it's one of those things that is a minutia type activity that most small business owners, until we start working with you and say, hey, we need to see numbers, you got to track, people just don't keep up with. So I think Aaron had something in the chat here that said extreme leadership, extreme ownership, both great books to help change your paradigm, stop that negative kind of thinking internally as a business owner. Okay, Lance or Patrick, either one of you guys. Patrick, you've been waiting a little bit to chime in here, so we can let you go, and then Lance, we'll give you a shout.
Okay, so I definitely can understand where Laura's coming from, but I learned this a long time ago. I'll share a little something with you. I would join the Army when I was 17. I did 3 years as a generator mechanic. I had a drill sergeant come back to me after about 2.5 years after he was training me, and he came back and he tapped me for a special forces group. I'm not smart enough to speak multiple languages, but I sure in the hell can kick down some doors. So they gave me slots and I went to Ranger School. I will take 10 completely retarded individuals that have a good attitude and train them than taking one really, really good guy or 5 really good guys and let them destroy the morale on my crew. Now, I'm an owner in a business that is learning how to work. You know what? I'm barely an owner because I'm learning that I've been working on my business because I'm an electrician. I'm also a frame and finish carpenter. I've been doing roofing and siding since I was in high school. I got an electromechanical engineering degree from a technical college, gasoline, diesel, and turbine engine mechanic. I learned all that in the Army. So I got a wide array, but I'm not good at school. But positive energy and acting like you're high speed and doing that stuff, you will get more done because if people have a positive attitude, they will do better. I got a good friend of mine. He's an electrician. He also works for me. And Austin is a pain in my butt. And when Austin decides to go off on a tangent, I usually pull him aside and I said, hey, I know you're a good electrician, but I did perfectly fine without you. How do you want to work this? If you don't change your attitude, you're going to go home today. If I have to do that 3 times, you're fired. I'm done. Yeah. I don't care if you're a rock star or not. One of the founds, I have one of my guys, I've known him for a long time, and he's a really good carpenter. Me and him used to build hotels together. And then I found out, I was like, what's going on with Matthew? I know this guy. And then I found out he had a lot of problems at home. How can I help, buddy? And you know, all he needed was to point the direction for a good attorney so he could see his kids. Sometimes when people are grumbling, it's not at work. There's home problems too. And I believe as a small business owner that, and there's only 4 of us, that we got to look out for each other as a team on and off the field. Now, when we grow and get a little bit different, I can't do that. But right now I need to build these guys to be able to handle this so I can get out of the field and I can do more of my work. And man, I have never spent so much time in an office as I did in the last week.
Yeah.
So, and that's good for me, but I got to be able to trust my guys out in the field.
Something that you said, Patrick, reminds me of a really good quote by Peter Schaps. He's a former CEO of Porsche. And he said that you should always hire character, but train skill. And I think that's a really, really key point of what you're sharing here.
Yep. It's hard to find people, especially right now. I'm lucky because I found David. I used to give millennials a hard time until I realized that, I was Gen X. My parents used to say, oh, you guys are good for nothing. Well, David is on the super high intelligence, very highly driven to an extreme point. And then I have most of the young people in my family, and I'm looking at nieces and nephews, and I'm like, you guys got no drive. and I don't understand it. And then I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, oh, things nowadays are very easy for young people to attain, and it's immediate self-gratification. I don't know how to deal with that yet, but I'm sure when I get into hiring more employees, then I'll have to learn that stuff too. But that's what I got all you folks for.
Yeah, and don't hate on the millennials. The whole Redmond Grove team, I think, is millennials or younger, and has always been that way.
I'm
I
learning.
don't think he is. Yeah.
I'm learning, and I always look at it this way. You want to be a good man, own your mistakes. You want to be a great man, go and own your mistakes in front of your team and say, hey, listen, I screwed up too. And I also look at it, even if my guys screw up, it's still my fault. No matter what, it's my fault. Either I got to give them the right tools, I get them the right training, or sometimes I just got to put my foot in their hind end and say, hey, listen, you guys need to do better, and I expect better. When I got a set of roofers that are really good. And then I found out that I don't think people were appreciating them. This is one roofing crew I have. These guys do not drink. I bought everybody tacos after they got done with the roof. Dropped $200 at my buddy's restaurant, and I got tacos. And I tell you what, the next roof that those guys jumped on, it was done like in 2/3 of the time. Bought them tacos again. Just showed a little bit of appreciation.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, that's that taco power.
Taco power.
Lance, did you have something related to this too?
Yeah, I think the original question Laura had was, like kind of stuck in a funk, like what do we do, sort of thing. I was gonna say, Laura, is it possible, or do you guys do anything like take half a day off or a full day off, just kind of out of a whim, and do something fun, like just break up the monotony, just kind of celebrate a little bit? Like sometimes we kind of go so long and so hard doing something, it's just like it comes a grind and gets kind of awful, and then just surprise everybody one day, just like we're all gonna meet here, mandatory call or something, and everybody just buy everybody lunch or something and just hang out the rest of the afternoon and just kind of let out some steam. I felt like that kind of worked for us a lot in the past. I notice it whenever we just kind of just keep going and you feel tired. I mean, if you feel tired and you feel burnout, I mean, they have to too. So yeah, I don't know. I encourage everybody to do that, just kind of randomly.
Yeah.
I love that idea. I was thinking actually maybe, ride the ferry over to the Giants game, or, something where
Yes.
it's kind of hard to surprise attack them though, because a lot of them have kids and, they've got to pick up kids after school. So there definitely is some coordination, but I love the idea of, doing something fun outside of work.
It could even be something. It doesn't have to be super elaborate. It could be something like tomorrow morning, make it mandatory at 8:00. You're meeting at a restaurant. You buy everybody breakfast.
Yeah. Dale, with Arnold's Plumbing, he'll sometimes roll out the grill at the warehouse, and he'll just grill up lunch, and he'll make sure, hey, we don't have any calls in between like noon and 2 today. We're all allowed one beer and some hot dogs. Here we go. Let's grill up. And
One beer.
One beer.
One. Laura, so I want to go back to something that Corey said, because I think that's the first move in these situations is taking a guy aside and not necessarily starting off with maybe the Patrick Mueller method of putting your foot in their ass, but taking them aside and just saying, hey, look, we really love you on our team. You do great work. There's no question about it. And part of what is just the fact of you being here is that you're a big influence on the rest of the team. And I want to know your concerns. I want to hear you out. I want to hear your frustrations, but I want to do that one-on-one. Because when that's shared with the rest of the team, it just brings the whole team down. That's just the kind of influence you have here. And try to see if you can almost steer it in a better direction by building it up and recognizing what is true, which is sounds like a great team member, does great work, but also pull that away from the influence of the team. right? I really believe in just speaking honestly, right? It's like, well, what's the best kind of management approach to this? Well, pull the guy aside and share your heart with him, right? Hey, we really like you. You do great work. But when you share this openly in front of the team, it brings everyone down, right? It brings me down, right? At the same time, I want to be there to support you. Come to me with your concerns, right? Can we avoid sharing that in front of the team? That kind of being the first stop. And then after that, this may seem like the last thing that you want to do, but to kind of the credit of the feedback from everyone here, I bet everyone that shared about possibly letting someone go if there's no hope for them, right? So you make the earnest attempt, maybe you give it 2 attempts, right? Maybe you talk to them, you see some improvement, then they start, doing the old thing again, talking openly and bringing the whole team down, maybe talk to them again, right? But it seems so counterintuitive to want to let a guy go when he's providing value. But to me, the greater lesson in how to manage burnout, how to manage fatigue is this acknowledgement of, I don't want to do this or that. I don't want to say no to the next opportunity. I don't want to say no to this guy, right? I don't want to get rid of him. But the energy and the momentum and the culture of our team is more important than any of that. As business owners, we so often get caught up in like, well, we got to do another deal. Like we got to do this one. We got to cram it in. We got to somehow do it. And that is, while that kind of mentality is like this kind of hustle sort of mindset of hey, we want to do well, we want to work hard, we want to make money, and that's good. That is coming from a place of scarcity, right? That's coming from almost a place of desperation. And that kind of responding in the end creates scarcity in the business compared to a perspective of abundance where you're saying, hey, our health, our well-being, our energy is more important than this next opportunity or how much money this guy brings in, right? And being willing to actually do the counterintuitive thing by saying, we're going to put the momentum, the energy, the culture of our team first ahead of whatever temporary benefits this person may be bringing or the situation may bring or this opportunity may bring, in order to keep your guys, keep your team in the long game, right? Because what ends up happening with burnout, because I've gone through cycles of burnout, right? It's like I have this tendency to, it's like everything's going good in life. I feel good. I'm healthy. And so I've got the energy. I'm just going to, go balls to the wall, go heavy, do awesome stuff, whatever. And it's like, it can take me through a cycle where it's like for a few months, I'm really, really on, followed by like a month where I feel like I'm like slow burning, right? And I end up losing more when I get caught up in that. So it's kind of this like thing that internally we're so scared to sometimes do. Oh man, I can't imagine ever getting rid of this guy. He's so good. But that's operating from a place of scarcity. Changing the perspective to a place of abundance keeps an abundance of energy, which produces an abundance of wealth, right? So just some encouragement there. Anthony, what you got, buddy?
Hey, I just wanted to touch in on something with an experience that I had regarding the attitude. I've got a guy, been with me for a couple years now. We used to call him Emergency Aaron because everything was an emergency. It's the worst slab he's ever seen. It was the worst walls he's ever seen. The tile sucks.
Emergency Aaron. That's so funny.
Just everything was the worst it could possibly be. And just to kind of share some perspective on the end result of sticking through that, figuring out how to, get on the same page. He's become, without a doubt, far and away the biggest asset in my company. I can leave him unsupervised at a job, minimal instructions, minimal phone calls from him, and the homeowners love him. Our clients absolutely love him. And, there was a process through there. There's a few ideas that have come out, about increasing the morale and whatnot in our particular situation. You know, we would have some conversations about how we're presenting ourselves to homeowners. I left the door open for all of his complaints to be valid to come to me. I just made it clear that they need to come to me. That you know, we can't be complaining about the job site on the job site. You know, bring that to the shop. And then also, you know, he likes to snowboard. So throughout the winters, we go to a 4-day work week so that he can get 1 day a week on the mountain. And that made a huge improvement. You know, I did try to tackle that mentality, that perspective, and I came at it with the idea like, hey, you know, benefit of the doubt. You know, this guy is great. There's just something going on. You know, it's probably my fault. It's probably something that I'm doing in systems. It's probably something that I'm doing with my management style that's, you know, leaving him in this circumstance. Maybe he's got some stuff going on at home, but either way, there was a connection that was missing. So, you know, a lot of times, like you had said, it's counterintuitive to get rid of a guy that's productive, that's valuable to the company, but he's got a bad attitude. But, you know, then there's also a lot of people who are like, they just don't want to deal with it, you know, so they'll just let go of that guy before it brings the morale down. I'm always going to shade on the side of believing in people and taking absolute ownership that this guy's got an attitude problem. It's my fault. You know, 99 times out of 100, I'm going to assume that it's my fault, something that I can fix. So I do think that there's insane value in turning a guy with a bad attitude around. I think that's an incredible opportunity to get loyalty from somebody for, you know, hopefully decades of working together.
I totally agree, man. Totally agree.
Looked like
Laura,
Lance
have
was
you
loving
tri-
what you were sharing as well.
Yeah. Laura, have you tried talking to this guy individually? Like having a one-on-one about this?
I have not, and it's definitely been, you know, in my calls with Nicole, we've talked about it, but I think as the time approaches, my thought process is anyway to have more of a script behind the scenes with Nicole on how that dialogue is going to look. Anticipating that there's probably going to be some hurt feelings. I mean, this employee, he's not just an employee. He's every bit a brother, not by blood. I trust him not only with my life, I trust him with my money. He's been through the worst of the worst with my brother and I in this business. And it's just not somebody that I can say, you know, it needs to be very delicate. At least that's my feel. So I definitely
Yeah.
want to practice how to have I mean, I'm not a therapist or this is not my strong suit, but I care deeply about him beyond my relationship as an employer. And so I don't know that this is just a typical journeyman that you hire on. And he's got a sour attitude in the morning. This is much more involved than that.
Yeah. So if you need a script, right, Nicole can help you with one. But I would really encourage you to trust yourself through something like this by opening the conversation by saying, hey, before you head out today, I want to chat for a little bit, or hey, before you leave for the day, let's hop into the office. And just start the conversation by just saying, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? What's going on? And he's going to probably respond by saying, what? You know, I'm fine. You know, what do you mean? Well, it seems like just on our entire team and on you, it seems like there's a lot of weight on you. It seems really tough. The energy level seems to be kind of low. And I just wanted to check in on you. I really care about you. Want to see how you're doing. Wanted to see if there's something going on. And just try to crack that egg to get him to open up. And if you can crack that egg to get him to open up, there's going to be a lot of relief that he feels in that. And like Anthony was saying, it's an opportunity to get that loyalty built, right? Get that trust built that, you know, you're saying, hey, this guy's had our back. I trust him with my life. And you're like, even more importantly, I trust him with my money. No, I'm just kidding. But by getting him to kind of open up, that's going to build that trust the other way. And then go into perspective of, hey, what can we do to help you out? Right. That's going to probably do a lot. I'd recommend just starting there, keeping an open conversation, asking him what's going on. If he's like, well, what do you mean? Well, just be honest with them. Hey, I feel like there's been a lot on your plate. You've been working really hard. We've been changing as a company quite a bit over the last year. And I've heard you here and there say, this or that. And I just wanted to see if everything's okay. I wanted to check in on how you're doing. And then, hey, what can I do to you to help you out? The example that Anthony gave is a great example of this kind of abundance for scarcity mentality that I'm trying to get at, because this is applicable not only for this situation, but for a lot of different areas of our lives and our businesses. It's this idea, like we put these intuitive culture kind of developed impressions on ourselves and these judgments on ourselves about how we need to run a business, about how we need to manage, about what we can and can't say in front of our team. And all of it is just BS. My approach is more about, hey, what makes sense and what's going to work for somebody? And could that help our team in the long run? It's like this counterintuitive thing, moving to a 4-day-a-week work week for this guy, right? So that he can go snowboard on the mountain like Anthony was sharing. Well, a lot of people in their head, I know the first instinctual response is like, well, if I let him do that, then that's a day of no revenue. That's 4 days a month of no revenue. That could really lower my income, right? That could really lower my profits. Well, according to Anthony, that ended up actually working out better for them. Why? Because the guy's showing up, ready to work, ready to sell. He's rested. He's energized, right? He's not going anywhere, and he wants to work hard for you, right? It's the tacos example that Patrick gave. It's like now that these guys knew that they were taken care of, that someone was looking after them, that someone had their back, now they're working more efficiently in less time. And so the counterintuitive thing is typically in these situations the right thing. And the right thing, the counterintuitive thing is what's going to bring this person or what's going to bring us as a team more wholeness, more energy, right? Versus how can we keep pushing ourselves to just do another opportunity? That's that scarcity mindset. So, Philip.
Hey, yeah, the one thing I had to add was just I'm trying to be better about doing like mid-year and end-year check-ins. So just like seeing where everybody's at, everyone on the team, and like asking those questions like, how's everything at home? How's everything, what's going right? What's going wrong at the company? And hard to do that consistently, but the more we do it, the better we are and the better our guys feel.
That's awesome.
We've had some activity in the group chat here. I put 2 questions that came across in our group chat. One is, does anybody offer memberships, and if so, how do they spiff your people when they sell it? And then the second question was, does anybody have a straightforward, simple inventory management software or methods you can recommend? We've got 2 minutes here. So if you have feedback on that, would love for you to hop onto the group chat and give that feedback. I'm going to put the group chat link in the chat again, just for people who maybe jumped on this call a little late for it. So if you have feedback or questions or input that you want to add, jump on there. Bryce also added our box car, which has kind of details of how to create a service agreement along with some best practice graphics that we included for each different industry. And so would love to see some activity in the group chat on this topic. Bryce, if you wanted to put that link to that box car in the group chat too, just so that we have it there as well. But would love to get some feedback on those 2 questions if anybody has them. It looks like a lot of people have interest in the service agreement, coming up with ideas there.
Great feedback. No, I'm just kidding. Who had the question about memberships?
It was Scott. with Complete Home Service Solutions. They have 3 different services. So they do plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. And I think that's kind of the
That's a golden goose for
main
memberships.
concern, is like, how do we sell individual ones for each service, or do we combine
I
them?
think
Do we offer all
Scott
3?
hopped off, but you offer all 3. You can sell memberships like crazy if you have those 3 services and offer them. You can, for any trade, you can offer a membership agreement that's worthwhile. But especially if you do all of them. But I think Scott may have hopped off. So anyway, okay, folks. Well, don't forget about the group chat. Nicole put that link in there. If you do want to know how to create a service agreement, like the steps, Bryce put one of our systems in there, one of our boxcars that goes into the steps of, hey, how do you create a service agreement? If you're in a trade business, if you're running service calls, you absolutely should be offering a service agreement at the point of sale every single time. Every single time, no matter what, be offering a service agreement. Start it today. Start it right now. That's how you build a customer loyalty. It's how you build repeat business. It's how you keep your guys busy. It's how you unearth new opportunities. There's so much, and then it's how you add more value in your company, right? In the context of how to, so if you want to sell your company one day, how to make it more valuable. You've got a membership with, 1,000, 2,000 people that you've developed over years. That's how you do it. So, great question. Wish Scott was still on, but guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for today. Is Patrick Mueller still on the call? Or did he hop off too? I think people are hopping off. I was going to say that's 2 dudes in our program right now who went through Ranger School, him and Riley. I don't know if they knew that, but kind of cool. I went through Royal Ranger School. Royal Ranger
Very
is the
different.
Christian version of Boy Scouts, where instead of actually learning like practical things for survival or practical things for everyday use like you learn in Boy Scouts, you got merit badges if you memorize Bible verses. So that's the kind of ranger I am, just in case anyone was wondering. Dude, Pinewood Derby car. Lance, he knows Royal Rangers. Yeah, the Pinewood Derby, man. We would have the Pinewood Derby every year. And I always focus on making the coolest car that was also the slowest. First round, I was always out. But I was like, you know what? That's a cool looking car. It was always red too. So yeah, we did make that's the other practical thing we did was we made cars out of wood and raced them down the track. Like this little thing, like handheld car. So anyway, all right, guys, have a great week. Thank you for being here so much. Great to see all of you guys. Great questions. Laura, would love to, I'm going to be out next week, but would love to hear more on how the situation goes. Again, would recommend just starting by sitting this guy down, have an honest conversation with him. Check in on someone you care about. That's the script, right? Check in on someone you care about. Start there and see where that leads.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone's feedback. Thank you so much.
We love you, Laura. Have a good day, guys.